The snow is melting, spring is in the air, summer backpacking trips are on our minds, and we are preparing ourselves for the massive influx of new backpackers and less experienced backpackers joining us out on trail in the 2021 backpacking season. And obviously, all of the backpacking YouTubers are starting to pump out our tips and tricks videos for the newer backpackers and the less experienced backpackers. And I'll tell you guys right now, that's not what this video is, because we are taking shots at myself a little bit in this video. We are talking some backpacking tips and some backpacking mistakes. Even if you are a 20-year experienced backpacker with long hair and a crappy mustache, you still make these mistakes from time to time. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is hydration, hydration, hydration. Now, out on a backpacking trip, the rules of life still apply, and you must drink water to survive. So you don't drink water, you're gonna get dehydrated, and eventually you're going to die. None of us hopefully wants to die out on trail, so we need to drink water and stay hydrated. This is one of the things that even with 20 years experience out on the trail, I still from time to time struggle with drinking enough water and keeping myself amply hydrated out on trail. Now, I don't usually realize that I have dehydrated myself until it's about 2 or 3 in the morning and I get the calf cramp to end off calf cramps, and my leg is locking up and I come hobbling out of the hammock and I am rolling around on the ground, finding my water bottle and guzzling some water and trying to massage my calf and trying to massage that cramp out. And I am cursing myself out for not drinking enough water throughout the day. And the biggest thing that I curse myself out for is not consuming my noon tab for the day. And if you're not sure what noon tabs are and you've never heard of these before, they come in a little tube like this here. They are just little electrolyte replacement tabs. So you pop the lid off this guy here, and it's just these little solid tabs here. They work kind of like an Alka-Seltzer tab, so I usually just break them in half and I drop them in the top of my Smart Water bottle. They're a little big and they don't necessarily fit inside the Smart Water bottle. I break this guy in half and I drop both halves inside my water, let it kind of, dissipate and fizzle up, and then you consume it. I'll be the first to admit, guys, these noon tab things, they taste like chalk. Your water is not going to taste all that great when consuming it, but they are a fantastic way to replenish electrolytes for yourself when you're out on trail. And I'm going to give you guys a little hint for how I manage to consume my water when it comes to drinking my water that's been treated with the noon tab, because like I said, these things make your water taste like chalk. And the key for me for consuming my water after I've dumped the noon tab inside of it is this guy right here, my secret weapon, the Crystal Light Packet. I have a damn near impossible time consuming water when I've got the noon tab inside of it, but I know that if I don't, I'm gonna have issues with calf cramps throughout the night, because I do tend to do longer kilometers out there on trail. I sweat a ton, I'm a heavy sweater, so I need to replenish those electrolytes. So the Crystal Light and noon tab mixture, that is a key for me for keeping myself hydrated and making sure I don't have those 2 a.m. wake ups with the calf cramp to end all calf cramps and rolling around on the ground and extremely uncomfortable. So yeah, I go with the noon tabs and the Crystal Lights. Now, rolling right along, keeping with our theme of water and hydration, we're gonna pull out the old Katadyn BeFree, because obviously Matty cannot get through a video without ranting and raving and talking about how much he loves his Katadyn BeFree. He loves his Katadyn BeFree so dang much that on a recent backpacking trip he did with Bo and Wanda, where we went up to Kinglet Lake and did some hot tenting and some fishing and had an amazing weekend out there at the lake, I actually left my Katadyn BeFree at home. I love my water filter so dang much that I decided not to take it with me and I left it at home. Before a backpacking trip, I always use my lighter pack list as my backpacking gear checklist, and I go through my lighter pack list and just go through the top and I throw stuff in my pack, check it off. And like I said, I use it as my checklist. For this backpacking trip that Bo and Wanda and I did going to Kinglet Lake, this was sort of a last minute trip. I didn't really do a ton of planning and prep work for this trip. I've been to Kinglet Lake a bunch of times, and Bo and I just decided to go spend the weekend up there. And I just kind of rush packed my gear and decided not to use my lighter pack list because I've got 20 years backpacking experience. I don't need my lighter pack list. You know what? Obviously I did, because like I said, I forgot my water filter at home. Now, truth be told, going up to a place like Kinglet Lake, I can almost guarantee you guys I would have been completely fine just drinking the water directly out of the streams and directly out of the lake itself. But lucky for myself, Bo is also a user of a Katadyn BeFree, so I got to use Bo's Katadyn BeFree and keep myself safe And luckily enough, I survived and I'm still here so that I can keep pumping out YouTube videos for you guys and gals to enjoy. So you guys need to send a big thank you to Bo for bringing his Katadyn BeFree and not being an idiot like me and leaving it at home, because had Bo left his at home, we both probably would have died out there. So if you want to avoid making the deadly mistake of leaving your water filter at home or forgetting any of your gear at home, use a lighter pack list or any kind of gear checklist and just use that when you're packing up your gear. For myself, the big thing is just not letting my ego get in the way and thinking that I don't need the checklist, because obviously I still do need the checklist. We just finished talking about leaving gear at home and I hear the dogs barking upstairs, so I stopped the camera recording and I run upstairs, and my dad just stopped by to drop off a crap load of stuff for the baby. So he dropped off a crib and a bassinet and a little like bathtub thing with this little frog thing you can clip in so the baby doesn't go all the way in the water. And wow, baby stuff blows my mind how much extra stuff we have in our house now getting ready for the baby. But let's keep going with these tips here. The next one that we're going to talk about is more just a general tip for newer backpackers and just something to keep in mind when you're getting into backpacking, especially up here in the Rockies. When people start thinking about backpacking trips and going on hikes, one of the big things people always think about elevation gains. And everybody seems to think that, oh man, elevation gains are going to suck and it is going to be absolute hell going uphill. Yeah, going uphill can kind of suck, but what people don't always think about is it's actually more difficult going downhill than it is going uphill. And this one definitely relates to me. I have a much more difficult time going downhill than I do going uphill. I suffered some pretty bad knee injuries when I was younger. When I was in my late teens and in my early 20s, I blew my ACL out twice doing some snowboarding and hockey and soccer and that kind of stuff. I was a much more athletic guy in my younger years, and I don't really do the extreme sports thing anymore. And hiking, honestly, is pretty much all I do now. I find it's the least strain on my knee. And one of the things that I do when I'm out on trail to help alleviate the stress and take some strain away from my knees, especially when I'm hiking downhill, is using a set of trekking poles. Now, I don't use 2 trekking poles, I only use 1. I know most people I hike with prefer using 2 trekking poles, but using a trekking pole, especially when going downhill, can help alleviate a lot of the stress and a lot of the strain off your knees and make the downhill portions of a backpacking or hiking trip significantly easier. It's one of the most important pieces of gear that I think any new backpacker or hiker or even an experienced backpacker that suffers from knee issues, and if you guys do not use trekking poles yet, I highly suggest looking at getting yourself a set of trekking poles. The trekking poles that I currently use are the Trekology Trek Z 2.0 trekking pole. They are an extremely cost-effective, lightweight set of trekking poles. You can get a set of 2 for about 40 bucks on Amazon. If you guys are interested in looking into the Trek Z trekking pole, I will put some links in the description box down below. And as we're talking about trekking poles here, trekking poles are actually a fairly recent addition to my backpacking gear loadout. I hiked for years and years just using a stick as just like a hiking staff almost. And after that broke, I transitioned to just using an actual trekking pole, and that's what I go with now. As I'm talking about switching away from a hiking stick into a trekking pole, if you guys are interested in sort of a little bit of my gear evolution and being a 20-year experienced backpacker and some of the gear that I wish I would have changed to sooner, I have made that video and I'll pop it up right here for you guys. So when you guys are done watching this video here, slide yourselves on over there, check that video out. And as always, guys, I am Matty. Thank you guys so dang much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.